Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This video would be a series based upon learning of React and its fundamentals. I have received so many requests from my students as well as subscribers for my channel to create some series of videos that would depict and help the learners to learn React in a very easy way. So this is the introduction and part one of that complete series, which I'll be putting on my YouTube channel in the coming times. And before we actually go on to practicals with the React, we need to firstly define out what exactly React is all about. So React is a UI library developed at Facebook. It helps to develop interactive, stateful, and reusable UI components which we can develop. Instagram is one of the best examples that has been written using React Native. React can also work on the server side as server-side components, though it is beyond the scope of this video, but definitely it's a point or a food for thought for all of you. And React is used for the development of SPA or single page apps, where you have a backend app running separately and front-end app like running separately, and it can connect to a backend app in the form of APIs or fetching of data or writing data to the database or anything. There are few tools and prerequisites which I'm assuming that you guys would be having before you can use this series of videos to exactly learn React. I'm assuming that all of you are familiar with the basic programming concepts, HTML and CSS. You can use any of the code editors. I'll be using VS Code, which is one of the most popular tools from Microsoft, but you can use any other editor like Atom or Sublime or anything. I'm also assuming that Nodejs is already installed on your computer, whether you're using a Windows, Mac or Linux. But if you have not installed it, please see my following video on my channel. I'll put this link to this video even in the description of this video, so that you can easily go back to my channel and see how to install specifically Node.js with the help of NVM, that is Node Version Manager on Windows. So these are the small tools and prerequisites that you would be requiring to go through this series of React series videos. The fundamental aim for which I'm creating these series of React learning is to make React learning very easy and not going into too much technical details or anything. This would help you to understand what React is all about, start creating some very small applications, how you can display data, how you can fetch data from the backend, use authentication in the coming times, and so on. So stay tuned, and in this video we are also going to cover how to install the Create React App npm package and how to create our first React app and give it a start on the browser. So in order to start working with React or development with React, the first thing we need to understand is you need to install Node.js on your Mac or on your computer, whatever you are using. I've already given the link in the description to know about how you can install Node.js with the help of NVM on Windows. The second thing is you need to install a package, npm package named Create React App. This package can be used to create a folder structure for your app, and it can do all the boilerplate setup for you, and then we can use one command to actually run that. So let's get started and firstly install that. npm install, and I'll use Create React App. So once you do that, it is actually going to install the Create React npm package. So that package is installed over here. The node is already installed on my PC, and now the next thing is we can use this Create React app two ways. One, we can use the npx command, which is a node package execute command. So I can say npx create React app, and then I can specify the folder name, whatever the folder you want to create or the name of the application you want to create. So whenever you give the name, it is going to create a folder structure for you with all the stuff as a boilerplate for your React app. So let's say we'll give it as learn React easy. So we'll just give that way, learn React easy, and once I press enter, so it would start creating the folder structure for me. This would create that directory, and because I'm in a temp folder at the C prompt, so it would create that folder within the temp folder. So once the installation is done, this would install all the necessary libraries and everything that's needed to exactly run a React application. And once it is installed, so we can use a VS Code to open it up and then further go with that. So let's give it a couple of minutes, and then we'll go from there. It's look like it's almost done. Yep, it's installing certain template dependencies using npm. Okay, and then once it is installed, it gives you certain commands by which you can start your project, like npm start or npm run build for production. But right now we'll be just using the npm start command, which would run the development server for us. So let's firstly move it into cd learn react and easy. Let's see, what's the folder name? Learn React easy. Yeah, so we'll just say learn React easy, and we'll go into this. This is a complete structure that's created for you. You have node modules, public folder, source folder, and package.json. Let's open this folder into a VS Code and see how we can use that. So open folder, and on the C try we have a temp folder, and then we have learn React easy. Select. So it opened up the complete folder structure for us, and this folder's structure has a public, where your one of the important files that would remain, that is the index.html. So in the index.html, if you see, one of the main important things to be noted over here is the dev id root. Now this particular dev is actually used for I would say bootstrapping the first app component over here. We'll use this React would be using this dev id root to actually load the component onto this HTML. So except for that HTML, it doesn't have anything much. It's a standard HTML. The next thing that we are going to see over here is the source folder, and in the source folder we have an app.js, which is our first component out here. Now if I see the app.js, this is a function app, and this is the component, and it is exported by default at the last, and then it returns this complete HTML over here, which is just like any div component, and it has some header, image, an anchor tag, it has mentioned learn React, and so on. Now it also uses certain CSS or a logo file which is coming from, but we are not worried about that right now. So if we see, there is another file which is very important, that is the index.js. Now index.js is exactly where the bootstrapping is done, where the React is able to create the DOM and then start the elements and render the elements onto that particular one. So if you see here, the React is exactly getting the element by ID, that is the root. Now this one is being used from the index.html. As I mentioned here in the public, when we actually went index.html, so we could see dev id root. This is the dev tag which it is going to use to bootstrap the component. So once we come back into the index.js, so this is the element which it is getting, that is the div part, and then it is rendering the app component over here. So you see this is an app component and it has been imported from here. That is import app from app, and app.js is the app component out here, and then it is also rendered within the react.strict mode. Right now you don't have to worry about what is a strict mode, but just in order to make some things clear, strict mode is just used for making things that we are using the right patterns, we are not using any deprecated methods or anything, or re-rendering of the components that's not in the best possible way. So that's what we are trying to do, and then it just pushes the app component and bootstraps it and loads the component onto the HTML file. Now let's run this, and in order to run that, we are already in the folder which we created, that is the Learn React Easy, and then we'll just simply say npm start. Now once you do an npm start, it would start compiling the stuff. It would compile all the check for any errors or any other thing, and because it's a simple one, the boilerplate that CRA does for us, create React app. If I'm using CRA, please follow it as a create React app. So it does for us, and then compiles it and lets you know if there are any kind of warnings or any kind of an errors or anything. And if everything looks fine, it would automatically start off the development server. It's still starting off, and it automatically did start the development server on port number 3000, but right now it is just trying to load it because this has not been loaded. So once it is loaded, it would actually show us all the content that was there in the app.js file. So we would see this learn React and other stuff over here, which is a standard HTML that would be there. So still starting with the development server. The first time when you start off, it takes time because it's trying to cache and do a lot many things. And yes, it says compiled successfully. Now you can view learn in the browser. So these are all the two. You can either use a local host or the IP address of the same which has been assigned, and on the 3000 port. So let's go back to the browser and see. Yes, so this is what the app is showing us, and this is the learn React. So if we just want to see and change that, let's say we'll change it to learn React in easy way. So if we just do that, save it and go back, it is automatically refreshed. So the React development server does provide you hot reloading. You don't have to stop the server, restart the server. It automatically reloads your changes, and it automatically does for us. So now in case you don't want this, this is the by default kind of a template given to you. So you can just remove this whole, let's say I'm just gonna close this, and let's say we'll just use h1 tag over here. H1, we are learning React in an easy way. So if I do this and save it, go back, so it's just simple. Now all the other stuff has gone. I've just used a h1 heading tag to exactly display the content, and the content has been displayed in a very simple way. So this is the by default component that comes to us. In case you don't need that, you can remove it because you'll need your own structure or anything, but that's how the scaffolding is given to you. The boilerplate is set up for you with the help of create React app. So before we ended, just a couple of important things. So in the public, the main important file is index.html, which has a dev id root from where the actual component is bootstrapped. Your app component is bootstrapped. The React actually load your app components onto this. And how it does it through the source. You go onto the source and go onto the index.js file. Now the index.js file does the bootstrapping. So it actually finds the element from the DOM, which is having a root ID. Okay, so you get that, and then finally it renders which component? The app component. Don't worry about it if you don't understand this, because there is importing this app component which is already there, app.js, and actually displaying that app component. Because React is an app-based component library, so you can create or define your own reusable app components, and which we will also create of our own. But right now we're just trying to understand how the things are working. And then within the app.js, we did change because this is a reusable component, it always returns a complete HTML, whatever we want to return, and we just made some changes within the default way, and then we commented it out and we added this one to some another line and see whether those changes are automatically reflected or not. And the changes are being automatically reflected because React Development Server does supports hot reloading, so you don't have to make any kind of a let's say restart the server or stop the server and restart it. The moment you make the change, save it, the things are automatically reloaded for you. So I hope this video is going to help you in kickstarting the React in a very easy way. This is very important because normally the first step is to understand how React works. I have in a very simplistic way tried to make things easier for you, the main important files which are there and how the first component is loaded. And in the next part series we'll be discussing on different aspects of React, whether how to actually use the data in arrays and objects, how to use hooks, how to fetch the data from APIs, and so on. So stay tuned and have a good one. A very good morning, good afternoon, and good night to everyone out there across the world. Stay tuned for the next video, and if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe it.